Hey everybody. Okay, so today is part two of telling my God story. Okay, so September is Suicide Awareness Month. And in Dayton, we celebrate it in October. Usually it is the last Sunday of the month of October, about 2 o'clock. So it's after church. Um, and we meet at Oakwood High School for a charity walk, which is on Far Hills Avenue. But this year and last year, they are having it at Welcome Stadium, because of COVID. And I believe it's October 7th is the day. But I'll post the dates and stuff on all my social media. I'm pretty sure it's October 7th. So the reason why I got involved in suicide awareness is because of my own personal experience with suicide. So about 12 years ago, I believe I had attempted to stop drinking. And then, which is a problem in itself because an alcoholic who uses alcohol to comfort and to deal with life since they were 12, and this was when I was about 29, 28, 29, it's hard to just quit without help. So I had stopped drinking. I had gotten fired from my job. I was a home health aide. I got fired from my job because I got irritated with my client, and I think I just walked out on her, which wasn't cool. But that's an alcoholic for you. Addicts tend to be pretty selfish, which is why I'd probably um, broken up with a boyfriend, or he probably broke up with me. I don't even remember why or who it was, but I remember another relationship had failed. Let me see what else is going on. I had to get my cable cut off, which he came and got the cable box the day of my attempt, but we'll talk about that in a second. I was afraid I was going to lose my job, my apartment. I had just moved in that apartment like 3 months before. I really liked it. It was really cute. But I was able to get a temporary job at a factory down the street from my house, which I believe is God. Only God can give you a temporary job, give you a job through a temporary service that's right down the street, walking distance from your house. You can't convince me that wasn't God. But the job was miserable, but it would have paid my bills. But it was miserable, so I was depressed about that. Eventually, I learned I had clinical depression, but I didn't know that at the time. So when a person is serious about suicide, you may learn this in a psychology class that they're serious if they have a plan. So I had a plan. My plan was, I don't think I want to say what kind of pills, but it was to take some pills and just fall asleep and don't wake up. That was the plan. But God had another plan. Um, so one day I took the pills. Of course, let me back up a little bit. I even wrote letters to all my family members so that they wouldn't feel like they were the blame. Um, so I did that. Um, so without giving too much detail, I went home and took the pills, took a handful of pills. Boom. And then I went and just laid down on my bed, just waiting to die. But I forgot the cable man was coming to get their equipment. Poor guy. Once I started kind of falling asleep, he knocked on the door, and when he knocked on the door, I was like, oh, cable guy. So I went and just opened the door for him and just laid back down on my bed. And he seemed kind of nervous, and he hurried up and got his box and left, and he left some wires, but I guess the box was what was important. So some time after he left, I had to use the bathroom. I got up to use the bathroom, and I got a glimpse at myself in the mirror because it was a big old mirror in my bathroom, and it scared me because the pills had made my eyes bug out. So I was like looking at my, and I went and looked at myself and was like, and I think I tried to close them but couldn't. So I'm like, oh, I just went and used the bathroom, fell back onto the bed. And so after a while, I don't know how much time had passed, my heart began to beat super fast, just scary fast. And then I started to panic. I thought, oh my God, I'm going to die of a heart attack. And so that's when I felt regret, because I felt like my heart was going to just explode. And so I panicked, and then I felt regret. It was like, oh no, I shouldn't have done this, or I shouldn't have done it this way. Because remember, I was clinically depressed, and I just didn't know it yet. And so I got scared because of my heart beating so fast. And like I said, I regretted it, and I started praying. I had stopped praying at this time. I think I had stopped believing at this time, if I remember right. But I started praying then, and I believe the answer to my prayer was vomit. Now that sounds yucky, but this is what happened. This is how God saved my life. My answer to prayer was to vomit every few minutes because I was vomiting up the pills. As soon as I got done praying, this is what happened. And I just kept getting up, throwing up. Finally brought the trash can by me. And after I finally stopped throwing up, I fell asleep exhausted because, throwing up is exhausting, especially when you got a stomach full of pills. And so, if I remember right, I slept through the night, and this was probably in the early evening when this happened. And so I slept through the night. Woke up the next day around the time I was supposed to be at work at that temporary job. And I woke up disappointed because even though I prayed, I still was depressed and still was disappointed that I was alive and still feeling depressed. All I knew is I felt like crap. I felt really bad, and I didn't know that that was a symptom of depression, clinical depression. And so, I know this is crazy, but I thought, oh, it's almost time to be at work. I remember it was a mid-shift job. I had to be there at like noon. It's like it's almost time to be at work. And if I'm going to be alive, I don't want to be broke. So I got up and I went to work. I don't believe I changed. I think I just wore what I had on. I might have brushed my teeth. I don't know, but I know that when I left to go to work, because it was walking distance, um, I threw up one more time on my way to walk to work. I remember seeing a coworker from a previous job going to work and waving at her like, oh, I haven't seen her. I believe that was God saying, see, there's a friend you would have disappointed or devastated or upset. So when I got to work, I halfway told a coworker that I had gotten cool with or whatever, and she really didn't understand. She actually, well, I can't say because it'll say what kind of pills they were. So she didn't really understand. She just was like, well, you need to talk to somebody. So when I got off work, I called my favorite friend, my favorite family member, and they begged me to get some help. They expressed to me how upset that made them and how devastated they would have been if it had worked. And he begged me to get help. And so I had planned on trying again. I just went ahead and got help for this family member because I didn't want to upset him. And so I basically was like, well, I'll just, yeah, it's a him. I'll just live for him. And then just so happened to be a behavioral health hospital around the corner from my apartment. It was a quick little bus ride. I don't drive. So it's a quick bus ride. I packed a bag, just thinking about this family member, how I didn't want to upset them anymore. Got a bus, walked up to the reception desk and told her what I did. She just looking at me like, and it's not that what I did because, they deal with that kind of stuff in a behavioral health hospital, but it was the fact that I walked in the door. Because usually when people do that, when they attempt to end their life that way, they usually come in an ambulance to the hospital. But I walked there with my bag packed. And she's like, well, we're going to take you back to the hospital to see if your stomach needs to be pumped. Because usually your stomach needs to be pumped. And so they checked me out and I was fine. Stomach didn't need to be pumped, but probably because I threw it all up. I said, it's okay. You're fine. We're going to check you on in. So I got checked in. Um, it's pretty much like every other hospital, except, they just had a few more rules. Took my shoestrings. They take your phone. They take certain things and put them in a locker. If you need to use your phone to get a number out or something, they'll let you, but you're not allowed to use a phone. You use their phones. Um, I could eat as much as I wanted. We could have 3 and 4 servings. And my food addiction self loved that. Like I was bringing back desserts to my room. That was my favorite part. But I learned a lot. I learned about mental health. That's where I got my diagnosis of clinical depression and generalized anxiety disorder. And um, borderline personality disorder. Um, so I I was excited because I knew what it was. Like, oh, that's why I felt like crap all the time because I was clinically depressed. So got on medication, you know, was able to kind of lay around in my pajamas all day. We had mandatory groups and mandatory counseling sessions. Um, but it's where my healing began. And this is the thing. I didn't even know I was an alcoholic. As much as I drank, I just thought I liked to drink. But so my slick little psych nurse was like, "Oh, we don't have any meetings right now. You don't have any sessions with your therapist right now." She was like, "Why don't you go out here to this AA meeting just to have something to do?" And I was like, "Okay," because addicts don't like to be bored. But I'm like, "Okay." So I went, and I'm telling you, I I felt we would have nothing in common because I didn't look like any of the people there. Everybody in that building, I mean, in that meeting, um, and I hope you don't think I'm racist because I'm not. But they were all older white men. They were all older white men that was either old enough to be my dad or my grandpa. And I thought, oh, this is going to be great. And I sat down, and I'm sure they have this routine where they send somebody out there for them to talk about um, how like what they did when they drank. And so they all started telling their stories, and all their stories sounded familiar. I started thinking, did these people get my diary or something? I mean, I had very similar stories from these older white men. I mean, it was the best AA meeting I ever been to. And I've been to others after, others with people who look more like me and my age, but that was the best one, maybe because it was the first. That's how I learned I was an alcoholic. Hearing their stories, and I was like, oh, I'm an alcoholic. And no wonder I like to drink. But that was the best part of the hospital stay. But at some point, as you start to heal, you want to get involved because you want to be part of the solution and you want to help others. And it just gives you something constructive to do, something, positive to do. Some gives you a contribution to society. And so, yeah, I'm there every year. I'll even tell jobs, like, you can fire me, but I'm going to this charity walk on this day. I almost had an issue with a job one time because one manager said I could, and the other one said I couldn't. I was like, well, she said I could, so I'm going. But it worked out, ended up working out. As long as I tell them, ahead of time, it's usually not a problem. But yeah, I'm there every year. And I invite anybody who wants to come. Um, what I like about suicide awareness charity walk is that it's not like other charity walks where you have to pay a fee first and you get a t-shirt or whatever. They don't require you to pay a fee. You automatically get a website, and then you can share your website and ask people to donate. You just share your website link, and then people can donate using their credit cards or debit cards. But people can give you cash, and then you can bring it to the charity walk. But I like that. I like that. I like that it's a nice, convenient way for people to give, and you don't have to give of your money to be a part of it. So there was times I couldn't afford to contribute. So I really like that about it. But that's my suicide awareness story. And God was all in there. God was all in there. You know, I truly believe I wouldn't be alive today because of his little meddling. He likes to meddle in our lives when we belong to him, which I gave my life to the Lord when I was 12 years old. So perhaps that'll be part 3. But yeah, I don't tell this story for any pity or for people to be sad, because I'm doing great now. Um, Especially in comparison. Still got a long way to go, but God has brought me a long way. And I don't believe I would be alive without him. So I'm going to go ahead and end this video with my favorite saying, and that is that love is God. It's not just what he does, it is who he is. Alrighty, till next time, y'all.